Hey, I'm Stephanie Weaver and welcome to my studio. What we are doing here, every week I come to you live and on YouTube to paint something fun and, so you can learn something too. So it's kind of cool. So every week I come here. If you're new, go ahead and click the subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. And then if you really want to get notified ahead of time, go ahead and click the link down in the description. And you'll get an email notification letting you know what the new project is coming up. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. And then, so what we're gonna do today, just kind of let you know, today is the 5th week, yes, number 5 week, that we are painting on some sheep. And today, my intention is to finish this painting. So go ahead and get your paint started. If you're coming back, I'm going to cue the intro. Go ahead and share this to your friends and family so that they know that what you're up to and what you're creating is going to be fabulous too. All right, so here we go. We're going to cue the intro. Whoops. Welcome back. So like I said, we are on week 5 of painting this sheep. And so I've heard from some of you guys that this is really hard. Well, yeah, it is. So that's one of the nice things is with every hard thing that you paint and you're challenging yourself, you're going to make yourself better. When you get out of your comfort zone, you expand your comfort zone. So that's what we're doing. And yes, this one is a little bit challenging. And the next project will be a little bit more simple and less time and like weeks wise. So that, every now and then you got to do something easy. It's like reading biographies or something. Sometimes it could be like really, intense and in depth. And then suddenly you're like, okay, I'm done with that. Give me a beach read. Same thing kind of here. That's why we have multiple projects kind of going on, so we can do something hard and then do something lighthearted. So this one is a little bit harder. Sheep are a challenge, but once you've got a sheep, then the rest of the animals are probably about the same. The cows are essentially the same, and it's just really an understanding of where the light is hitting and how you want to play with it. So let's go ahead and take a look at our painting today and see what our intention is. All right, so I'm going to kind of walk you through a little bit about my mental process every morning. And today has been a little bit of a challenge for my mental process. I do have a headache, and I've already taken 2 extra strength Tylenol, and it hasn't kicked it yet. So there's something in the atmosphere that's like messing with my sinuses. So yay, that's fun. But I know that painting relaxes me, and so over time the headache will go away and everything's kind of going to subside, so I'm going to power through. So the way that I approach paintings every day, and you probably heard this last time, one of the things I said is, okay, my intention for today is. So when I look at my paintings, I can sit down for about 10 minutes easy and evaluate what I want to do and what I want to change. I'm going to take this off, a little bit hot. Okay. So I'll actually evaluate what it is that I want to do, what do I attack, what do I like, what do I not like, and so on. So when I look at my painting today, I know I don't like the upper left corner over here. I added a little house there last week, and last week I talked about I'm going to glaze in some like clouds and stuff, kind of make it look foggy. I like that idea. So I'm probably going to do that. I think the trees need a little bit more sparkle to them. They're not bad. They're pretty passive. They're not active back there because I want what to be active and where your eye to go to be up front. So I'm pretty happy with the trees for the most part. And then the sheep have some work. And it's really not going to be a lot of work. It's mostly just adding some highlights. I've got some good depth on the dark, so I might enhance that a little bit as I go through and add in some highlights. I might just like, oh well, let's balance out that light and dark a little bit. So I might do that. I know I'd like to add some field flowers, just kind of give little indications of those. And then definitely the sparkle in the sheep's eyes. So those little bits of detail. My medium and everything I think I'm going to use today is going to be Neo McGill. So that is this one right here, Neo McGill. The reason why I'm picking that is because I want to be able to glaze on the paints on top of what I already have there, so that way all the details and everything that I've already put in aren't lost, but instead I'm adding more details on top of existing details, and it just adds greater depth to it. The other thing, medium I'm probably going to use today is this solvent-free gel. So the solvent-free gel, this is a nice like thick gel, so as I apply thicker paint, this medium will keep that thickness, and I'll be able to add paint without adding significant amounts of paint, which take a longer period of time to dry, but instead add the medium with paint, and that takes less time to dry. All right. So yeah, I do want to finish this thing today, but you know, that's the funny thing is, you know, I might consider it finished today, but in another week's time, I might see something that I want to change. And that does happen frequently. I've got probably about 20 paintings that nobody has seen yet because I'm still mentally evaluating them on whether they're finished or not. And some I've had for like 10 years that I keep changing. So that's the nice thing about oil painting. All right, but I'm ready to get started. All right. Okay, so I've got my palette set out in the standard way that I always set it out. You know, I've got my black, ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, sap green, alizarin crimson, burnt umber, burnt sienna, cadmium orange, yellow ochre, and cadmium yellow medium. And then down here is a pile of white. On the sides I have extra colors that I occasionally use for other projects. And then I've squished some other colors over to the right side that I've used in the past that are mixed, that I want to just kind of keep. And once you stick them in the fridge or the freezer, they kind of keep for a long time, as long as you don't add the medium into the piles. So, all right, well, let's get rolling. Okay, I'm going to first mess with the upper left. Yep. All right, well, I know one of the things I wanted to do back there was to create the fog. So I'm going to get my Neo McGill out. I'm just going to shake it up. Shake it up. Okay. There we go. All right. I do intend to finish painting today, so I'm going to go ahead and mix a little bit of this just so I can grab it and go. So I did use about equal parts there of my McGill and titanium white. Typically you want to use zinc white. I ran out, so I'm mixing it with titanium white. And you only want to use zinc white when you're actually glazing. Okay, get a piece of paper towel. Okay, and I'm going to keep the paper towel in my hand just so I can like wipe stuff off if I want to. All right, let's take a peek. So I'm just kind of putting it on there. You'll notice I'm kind of going over stuff. And there's really kind of no rhyme or reason. I'm just Xing it on there. Because this is going to be fog. It doesn't really have a set design. Right? Okay. Then I'm going to blend it in there. Get this chair out of my way. Okay, I might do a little bit more of that. And wipe out some of it. I'm going to use a little bit of Gamsol on my brush so I can kind of still see a little bit hint of the house that we put in there last week. Okay, and then I'm also going to wipe out some of the white that I got on top of my tree here. Okie dokie. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move into my sheep. Okay, I've already made that nice big pile of white. I think I'm gonna add a little touch of cobalt blue. So I'm gonna put it all off to the side. I'm just trying to make a nice warm blue. This will be a highlight. And you see there's a very subtle difference between the pure white and a little bit of the cobalt blue. Very, very subtle. And I do have quite a bit on my brush, like you can see there. Yep, kind of got quite a bit. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm effectively like scumbling on. And what scumbling means is I'm just kind of letting the hair of my brush and the canvas pick up the paint. So I'm very lightly touching it. And what that does is it just adds little indications of where the light is strongly touching the wool. Okay, and I'm going to take a smaller brush and do similar to the areas around the ears. And I'm not drawing a whole straight line, just barely touching some of the edges. And if you go over spots that you don't want to, like I just did, I can grab a little bit of my Gamsol, nice clean brush. And because we're approaching this in phases, I can easily wipe off paint without wiping off my previous layer because the other layer is dry. And that just straightened out that little line. Okay. I might lighten some areas up a little bit. I'm going to grab some of the paint that has a little bit of McGilp in it so I don't lose some of the other texture that I added in there. I'm just going to lighten him up just a little bit around his neck. A little bit more structure to the face. I'm going to call out their eyes just a little bit more. Grabbing some of the black, a touch of the ultramarine blue. And a touch in his ears. Just where it would get darkest. Just darkening it up a little bit around his face. Need more paint. Okay, and while I'm getting into the details of their eyes, I am going to add a little bit of a sparkle. And I'm going to grab, because their eyes are so small, I am grabbing a teeny tiny brush. It'll be a number 0 once I find it. Where'd you go? Okay. All right, this will do. Okay, and I'm just gonna grab a little tiny bit of this white. So the sun's kind of coming from this direction, right? And I got paint on my hand. The sun's coming from this direction, and so I'm going to just kind of add it, just a touch of it on top. Whoop, added too much on that one. I'll come back and fix that. So where there's one on top, I also want to go ahead and add a little bit like on the outside of their eye. I'm going to do a little bit on top of their nose right here. There's just some stuff I didn't like. What I didn't like was how the brush stroke work. It looked chopped. Okay. Alright, I'm going to fix the eyes where I added a little bit too much white. I've really got to find the brush I'm looking for. Shoot. I don't know where it went. I know where it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be in there. So I guess I'll try this one. It's different. It's a bent brush. I know people use it to paint inside glass. And I don't know. I got it, so let's try it. knows, I might like it. I think I like it. Wow, I like this thing. It's let's show you. It's called Baby Strokes, bent number 2, made in Sri Lanka. And see how it's bent? The ferrule's bent. That's kind of cool. I don't know where I got it, but I like it. And I've got 2 of them. That's cool. I like it a lot. Okay, neat. Looking for other ways to use that. Okay, I'm gonna kind of go back to this fur because one of the things that was aggravating me a minute ago was the brush strokes were straight, and I know that the sheep's wool, it's kind of curly and comes out at you. So I'm going to be purposeful about a couple of the strokes that I'm going to take and think about that. I'm going to think about the curly and swirl out. Then I'm actually going to try to use this little tiny brush again because I just want to make sure that that happens. And one of the things I'm going to do, because I want those ones that are going to be coming out like that, I want them to be sunshiny, and so I want the sun hitting them the most. So I'm going to make another little mixture of the white with a touch of the yellow in it, and that'll look great, I think, because with everything kind of blues and darks in there, when we add in little pops of yellow, it's a significantly contrasting color to the blues that it'll just pop right out. I'm just gonna add a teeny tiny touch of the yellow, cadmium yellow medium. That's the thing about those Gamblin paints, they've got such good pigment in them that a little goes a long way. Now for this, because I want it to be popping out at you, I'm going to be using my solvent-free gel. Handy little tool to have in your kit. Pliers, so I can do that. And it just squeezes right out of the tube. Nice and thick. Let's see how thick I've got it on here. If you remember, I stressed fat over thin before. we are at the fat stage now. We want thick paint with good medium in it. Linseed oil and lots of fat. Okay, one of the things I'm going to also do, so I'm going to take my phone because I want to see what it looks like from a distance. So if I hold up my phone, it basically puts me about, 10 feet across the room type of thing. So I can kind of see what it looks like from there. And it's not bad. I'm going to take a picture. The other thing I'm going to do is I can switch it, and let's check the values real quick. So if I turn it into monochromatic, so my values are pretty good. There's a nice separation of values. I can probably come in here and add a little bit more dark underneath this sheep here, a little bit more dark under there, and I can easily glaze that in. So you can see that's a really nice way of checking your work without having to get up and go across the room. So, handy dandy little tool. Alright, I'm going to keep on going with some of the highlights here. And then I'm going to work on the grass. Oh, my neck just popped. I was editing the videos or reviewing the videos that are being edited, and you know how every now and then I stand up and I like go and I crack my back. You can actually hear that. I was like, oh my god, we gotta get rid of that. Get rid of that noise. It's important to stretch often. Okay, I'm gonna go in here, and because I'm being a little bit persnickety, and actually I'm getting very relaxed, I'm gonna go in here and kind of soften some of the edges and transitions in between my really bright yellow that I just created and the cool blue. But I'm not getting rid of all of the pops of the yellow white, because that's really just going to make them stand out and glow. ahead and glaze in a little bit of those darks that I needed to see there for the value difference. So I'm going to create a darker green. I'm going to take my, oh, got a little white in that one. I'm going to take some sap green and some ultramarine blue and a touch of burnt umber. Okay, and I'm going to glaze this on. So I'm going to grab this brush. Grabbing some of the Neo Gilt to glaze. A nice dark color there. I'm going to come under here and just start darkening some areas up. I'm going to darken this little area up over here. One thing I'm just doing now is I'm going over this sheep and I'm using the same color, but because I'm glazing it on, it's just adding a little bit, darkening that area up. Whoop, got into the white. The white was wet. I'm going to go in here, kind of set that sheep back just a little bit. I kind of messed that one up a little bit, so I'm going to wipe some of that off. On the sheep there. So that's the other sheep's rump. Okay, but I still like the idea that I was doing, so now I'm going to go back over it with a kind of a ultramarine blue glaze and a touch of the burnt umber. And I'm going to glaze over that other sheep little rump to kind of set it back a little bit more. And then I'm going to pull some of that on the other side here. Set some in shadow without losing all those details I just added. I'm going to do that same glaze over this side too. I'll darken it up. If you notice, I haven't really looked at my reference photo now. Now I'm going from what I want to be darkened up. And that just kind of comes with time. You know, you get to experiment. Each one of your paintings should be an experimentation and see what you can do with it and how far you can take it and, you know, make it into something that you want and what you see or what you want to see. Okay, I'm going to lift off some of the paint that I just added there because I want more of a color variation. There we go. And then I'm going to add some of that to this one over here. Because I liked the contrast. I liked it a lot. I like the contrast a lot. Really, the contrast makes the lighters pop more, and it makes the light values pop more. And that's what I want. Okay, I'm going to keep doing that. Grabbing the ultramarine blue again, a little bit of the burnt umber, and some of my Neoma gilt. Okay. I'm going to darken this one up just a little bit. The areas that I'm glazing, they do not have thick paint, so I'm still following that fat over thin rule. The thick paint I reserve mostly for the highlights. Okay, I'm going to go over the grass area back through here again and up through the front again. And then I'm going to touch up some trees back in here. The reason why I'm doing that is because I would like more variation in brush strokes that are going on back through here and variation in color. So I'm going to make, let's see, this is, oh good, this is still wet for the most part. So I'm actually going to add some gilt to it. And the color mix that this was, it's just a sap green, a little bit of yellow ochre, and a little bit of cad yellow. Okay. So that was sap green, yellow ochre, and cadmium yellow, medium. And a little bit of Neoma gilt. Okay. In the background, I know I want it to be a little more blue, so I'm going to pull off a segment of it, add a touch of ultramarine blue. See how we're doing there, and that's a pretty good match. And I'm going to deepen it up just a touch. All right, let's play. I'm just going to grab some of the other color notes that I have. I'm just playing up the darks a little bit, adding a little bit more drama to the light. Be careful around the sheep because you added the light, and I don't want to get that into the dark. Like I just did. That's okay. That one's not okay. Fine, we'll play it up just a little bit. Right now I'm kind of being a little bit lazy about my brushes. I need a bigger brush. So before I switch brushes, I'm going to focus on the smaller areas first. Okay. All right. It's time to show some brush strokes. I have a favorite brush that is... What the Sam Hill's going on with my brushes? Haha, found it. Okay. So this one, it's one of my favorites. It's ruined. It was a, I don't know what this thing says. It's a Tuscan series, but it's an angle brush, and I didn't wash it well enough. So what happened was the paint got down into the ferrule, and that caused all these little bristles to splay. And this is a synthetic brush, so the bristles are really, really good stiff. So I mean, you can hear it. That's how stiff it is. So what I love about this is I can take, let me grab a little bit more yellow, and I'm going to put some of this in here. So I'm going to start making some highlighted grass. This might be a little too light. Let me see. Yeah, it might be okay. Okay. So I can grab on, and all I'm doing is kind of loading up the bristles. See that? I'll bring it over here. Maybe you can see it better over here. See that? It's just the tips of it. Now I can take this, and I'm going to start at the top, bring it down. So it's just giving little indications of sparkle of the highlights. And some of them might be a little bit too wild, in which case I'm going to need to make another color, a little bit darker. I can load up the brush with that. Start from the bottom. Whoop, touch that one too hard. Okay. So I actually have a couple colors on here now. The key is a nice light touch. Ah. I don't need to do this everywhere because I'm not going to be able to see every single blade, right? So some of these I'm kind of even going over and softening a little bit. I decided to make a little patch of dirt kind of showing in here. Might as well add a couple rocks, why not? All I did was add a little bit of white and brown, and I'm just adding kind of little indications of rocks and dirt. I don't know why, just felt like it. I just think maybe it needs a little path. That's what I think. Leading up to the sheep. Yeah, that's what we'll do. I guess I'm effectively creating a stone little walkway to them. Sure, why not? I'm gonna make sure I, add the shadows in and stuff, because it's gotta make sense. That's why it's good to save details for last. I had no idea I was going to add that in, but I kind of like it. So now it like leads your eye up into there. Yeah, kind of neat. Okay. Alright, so now I'm taking a really kind of thinner brush. This is a Mongolian Sable by Dynasty. I like it. It's one that I've had for a while, and it's great for this type of just brushwork where you really want to get into the fine details. This is a number 4. And you want to create those straight strokes. I like it a lot. And I'm going to set this area back over to the left here. And just kind of set it back with a glaze of a darker color. Something right here. gonna glaze in the background just a little bit, adding some darker colors in the shades here, and right in there, and up through here. I'm gonna get some more sap green. So I'm going to use some sap green, ultramarine blue, and alizarin crimson to make a really nice dark glaze. Grabbing some Neo McGill. Alright, so this is already pretty dark back in here, and I'm just going to darken it up just a bit more. And by adding the glaze, I'm still able to see some of that texture that's underneath it, texture in terms of the previous values. Notice I'm even going over in some of the grass here. Just adding thin glaze over top of that. That's better. Like that. Okay. Got some of the white. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in those trees and I'm going to call out just a few actual leaves. And I can do that one of two ways, either adding light or adding dark. And I might do a little bit of both. So I think you get the gist of what we're doing. I'm going to continue to paint on the trees and everything throughout the day. And so if you want to see the progress of those throughout the day, go ahead and go to my Facebook. I'll post some pictures on there. That's facebook.com/Stephanie Weaver Artist. And I'm going to post some pictures there throughout the day as I start, refining the leaves and such. Yeah, he's coming along. I'm going to be done with him today, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, just keep on working on the details and take your time with it. It's not a rush, it's not a race, it's on your own time. So just relax with it and make them yours. So until next time, which is next week, everybody stay safe, happy, and healthy. And go ahead and subscribe, and then also click the link to get next week's project. And that'll come out once I send out the email. Thanks, guys, and see you next week.